Hello, and welcome to Not Too Shabby, the Chimney Corners Camp podcast, featuring camp directors Shannon Donovan Monty and Abbot Pittman. In each episode of this podcast, Shannon and Abbot will share crazy camp stories, let you in on some camp secrets, tips, and tricks, talk about life at Chimney, and even pull the curtain back on how camp runs from behind the scenes. From staffing to activity planning to the friendships we make along the way, join us twice a month for your camp fix.
What's up, Shannon?
Tons of stuff, Abbott.
Tell me one thing.
One thing. I am getting that kind of holiday. Here comes the holidays, and I'm,
Yeah, you're ready for them.
Yeah, I
for
want
a break because you
kicking
do
back
work really
a little
hard.
bit. Well, we all do.
Well,
you really do.
No, not nearly. For those of you who are listening, Shannon is the ultimate worker. I think she is a workaholic. Truly, you're truly a workaholic. You love the good and noble work of the YMCA.
I do.
Yeah.
But Abbott is also an incredibly hard worker, and just like such a good sport and a lot of good things. So
Her Christmas present to me is she won't be complimenting me for the rest of the year.
He hates when I'm nice to him, so I do it to punish him.
Our entire relationship is built on us being mean to each other. But it's fun. So we are ending. It's the end of the year when we're putting this out. It's not the end of the year right now. Spoiler alert.
It's getting close, though.
It's getting really close. I can't believe it's about to be the end of the year.
I know.
That's wild.
By 2025.
By 2025. And it was a good year for the most part.
It was. It was a good year.
We're about to enter 2026, which will be my 5th summer at Chimney Corners Camp, if you even care.
I do care. Although, what does that mean? You can no longer say,
I just got here.
Yeah.
I still could do it.
Abbott likes to say he just got here, which I think I get that sentiment, but I think we just officially on this podcast, it now gets forever shelved because I think your 5th summer.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think you can go there.
All right. Well, I'm going to keep using it until the summer ends.
Okay.
I'm allowed to say it until the end of the summer.
No.
Yes, I am.
You can, how about this? You can say it up to the start of the summer.
But I haven't gone through my 5th summer yet.
Fine.
Okay, excellent. It's in writing. Well, it's on audio. It's recorded, and now everyone knows I'm allowed to say that. And now that we're ending the year and entering my 5th summer, and probably your 30th?
I think it is.
Is this your 30th? I got to buy some pens.
Yes.
I got to buy some pens.
So, 1997 was my first summer. So that involves math.
I'm not doing that right now.
That seems wrong. Anyway, we'll do math later.
Okay. Well, we're hitting my 5th summer, and so I have more recently than you worked at a different camp,
Right.
YMCA Camp Immokalee, which is a 1-week camp in Florida, and there were 10 weeks of it when I was there, which was a lot of camp. And now that I've experienced the 4-week model, I can't even begin to imagine going back to 1. What was Jewel?
Jewel was 2 weeks.
2, yeah.
Yeah. And to be honest, recently we did 2 weeks at right after COVID, we did do 2-week sessions.
Oh, right.
Again, like I think once you've done 4 weeks, it's really, really hard to go back to a shorter session because you really see the magic of the longer stay. And I've learned a lot through the years about why it makes such a difference.
Why does it make such a difference?
Well, there's a few things.
Get closer to your mic.
Okay. Thank you for that feedback. I am now as close as I can get without touching it. Yeah, I'll give you an example that I think that there's ups and downs of any experience. And actually just a fun statistic is that the longer people stay at camp, the more likely they are to come back to that camp. Like we as a camp have a very high return rate. And I think a lot of that is because after a month at camp, you really feel that connection. You've really gotten to know people on a deeper level, almost like staff, that you're staying in some cases as long as staff. But you just have this really deep connection. And I think it gives you that sense of mastery of the program sooner.
Absolutely.
What are some other things you've noticed about the longer stay?
Well, when I was at Immokalee, well, no, let's go back farther than that. We're gonna
Okay.
Further, excuse me. We're going to go further in time.
Back
To when I was a camper, and I went to a 1-week camp.
Okay.
And I cried until Thursday. And then pickup was Saturday. So it took me 4 days, like
Yeah.
Sunday drop off, essentially 4 days for me to get in the rhythm of camp and
Yep.
understand what the heck was going on. I was a kid who was sort of like I was a total space kid. I had no idea what was going on. I watch these 7-year-olds go to their activities.
Yes.
And I'm like, I would have no idea, one, what my activities were, and two, where to go.
Right.
I don't know how these kids figure this out, but they do. And I didn't understand the flow of camp. I missed my mom.
Yep.
And then I was making friends, but I was so distracted by being homesick that I didn't really make that strong of connections with kids. So by the time
how could you?
how could you? It's a week.
Well, and you were busy being sad,
I was busy being sad.
which is so normal. Like, it's okay to be sad. It's part of the experience. It's part of the experience because your things are changing. And
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's you're getting jangled, like you like to say. Your life is being jangled. That's hard. And so, getting to Thursday and finally getting comfortable with camp, and it's like closing ceremony.
Right.
But I'm like, I love it. This is so fun. But I had spent 4 days adjusting, and then when you do that and you've only done a week, that's your experience with camp. The majority of my 60% of my experience at camp was crying.
Right.
Which, that's me. I mean, a lot of we've got 7, 8-year-olds who come and don't shed a single tear, and they're like, whatever.
And that is true. That I think that's a misconception, is that the younger you are, the more apt you are to be homesick.
Mm-hmm.
And we've actually found it not to be true, that kids who are younger actually are so in the moment that they do really well, even for longer stays, that they can hang in there. And sometimes it's more being that awareness of the passage of time that sometimes get you. But I agree that starting young is fine, and staying longer is I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's too long for them. But, and for some kids, maybe that's true. But generally, the longer stay gives you that time to get through it.
No, absolutely. And that's, I think, for me, was probably the number one thing that I noticed.
Yeah.
If I had to pick like the first and probably most surface level thing about the difference between a 1 and a 4-week session is you have more time to adjust.
Yeah.
Like if you can even call that 1 week a wash, like say you're homesick the entire 1 week, you have 3 more where you're finally in your groove and you know how camp works and there's a routine and you're making friends and it's all starting to like come together. We've had plenty of campers who, for example, will be on their 4th or 5th year at Chimney and will still need a week to adjust.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's a beautiful thing about the 4-week session. It's always going to be there. It's always going to be 4 weeks. So adjust. Take a week to adjust. That's fine.
And I was like you as a kid. I never felt like I knew what was going on. And I was like always thrown into new situations. And it just took me a while. And so, I look at our statistics of like how many kids, I think like 95 to 98% of kids say they feel more confident.
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine if they'd only been there for a few days. My guess is they feel less confident because they haven't had that sense of mastery. But think of the confidence you build of having to take on all these challenges and getting good at it.
Yeah, exactly. It's one thing to just be challenged and overcoming at one time. Like that's great. Be consistently challenged. That's how you build muscle, right? Like that's how you get stronger. So that's what our kids are getting to do. So a huge pro in the 4-week model. I think off of the surface level sort of things and getting more into the, actually having seen now for 4 summers what the 4-week model does is relationship building. I think that's what Chimney does really, really, really well. And that's not to say you can't make a friend in 3 or 4 days. I mean, kids make friends very quickly.
Yep.
But being with a cabin group of the same, 7 kids and having to do spending your whole mornings together, your whole evenings together, and having to do like whiff and poof or song and sign or whatever cabin activity or competitions and color wars or whatever you're doing will really build a small community.
Right.
Like no other.
Well, and remember, again, I think too often we think, oh, well, we expect it to be perfect all the time and we get along. And that's absolutely not true. You will get into an argument with somebody. You will have a difference of opinion, but you'll also figure out how to work through it. And that's, again, that muscle of friendship. Do you know that like consistently 99%, nearly 100% of our kids say they make at least one good friend, not just a friend, but a good friend. I mean, that's amazing when you think about it, and that I think speaks to that time and the working through and like you said, spending meaningful time face to face without distraction. And you're really living your life at camp. You're living you're exploring your thoughts and your relationships without, input from outside forms or things that make it more confusing. So it's a kind of a cleaner, purer, more experience in a lot of ways.
That's a really good point. And you're existing within a routine, but it's a routine of your own design in a lot of ways. Like you pick your afternoon activities, you have input in your morning activity with your counselor. You can participate to whatever extent you want in the evening activity. And then, whatever happens in your cabin during cabin chat or in the mornings or whatever, that's sort of, free for you to do what you need to do or what you want to do. If you want to be quiet during chat, don't speak. It's not like school where you have to read when it's your turn to read out loud. And then we have those free periods, which I think are one of the best parts about our camp is the free period. I mean,
it really is.
It's awesome.
And that's something that's, we know is disappearing, like that in real life, in life at home, is that everybody's so structured. Everything's so, people are being entertained all the time or occupied all the time. And it's hurting our brains. It's hurting kids' brains. And I just listened to a Hidden Brain podcast just about how vital it is for kids to have time where they're really making their own choices without input, without somebody kind of taking it out of their hands. There's this, the person being interviewed talked about how Boy Scouts they make the cars that they race.
Those racers, little CO2 cars.
Somebody's out there yelling the name of it, I'm sure, and he was talking about how he let his kid make the car, and that's the idea. And then they get to the contest and there's all these ridiculously perfect cars because all the parents had actually made the cars because they were more interested in succeeding than they were in their kids learning the process. And so I'm a parent and I know that there's such a temptation. We want our kids to succeed, but we take everything over from them. We take away a lot of their agency, and camp, it's so protected at camp. Like their choices, and we really try to celebrate that and help kids own that. And free time and free play and creative play is critical to building who you are and knowing who you are.
Absolutely.
A
huge proponent of free time and free play for kids. When I worked in before and after school, the early part of my YMCA career, the after school program had moved to a model where they did not allow free play in the afternoons, and it was all group game. And the idea was to limit injuries because, if you're playing, it's easy to run into a tree or whatever, and you're not being watched as closely. But even at that time, even there was very moldable young early 20s, wanted to do a good job as a YMCA professional, was like, I don't think that's actually very good for them. You're at school all day working with groups of people, doing stuff with groups of people, listening to your teacher. Now you have to listen to some 16-year-old working their afternoon job play a game poorly with you when you want to go and play mermaids with your friends, and you should be allowed to play mermaids with your friends.
You should, and not have judgment or control. And you're right, there's so many different environments where kids are being curtailed. Don't run, don't don't talk about that, don't raise your voice, don't and kids are so hemmed in. And again, it's not a free-for-all at camp, but I do think we make space for things to unfold. And we have to loosen the grip because our kids are just being channeled in ways that they're losing touch with what they truly want.
Absolutely.
And so the more that we can, loosen up a little and allow our kids to have spaces that they own, that are their own, where we're not intervening, where we're not putting controls or taking over is important. And I think camp is one of those last places where kids can really own the experience.
Oh, truly. Yeah. And again, like you said, it's it is manufactured, but it's of their own design. And that's the beauty of camp. But I remember before my former YMCA camp moved to this idea that you have to watch the kids 100% of the time. Like you had to always have your eyes on the kids.
Yeah.
Which I want to be clear. We have a very safe. We have a perimeter. We have supervision everywhere. But if a kid walks from a cabin or walks to go to their cabin really quick and grab a sweatshirt, okay. At my last camp, you had to bring like 3 or 4 kids with you. You had to have a counselor go with you. It was like a whole thing. But I remember talking to some of the CITs when I was at that camp, and they were like, man, when we used to walk around here, like walk to our own activities, we felt so big and so independent, and like we could do anything. And I remember them telling me that, and I was like, wow, what a shame that they've lost that. And I get it. I get it. Like there are reasons why you want to make sure that every kid is supervised. I totally understand that. And that's still something we're able to do without staring every single kid down all the time. They can walk to their activities. If they don't show up to their activity, every single ad staff member is walking around camp getting them.
Oh yeah,
Right, get to your kid. And they're just late.
Yeah, and that thrill of independence and that feeling of competence. Your kid feeling competence, huge. So my dad tells this, and I've told you this before. My dad went to camp when he was 5 and his brother was 6.
Wow.
And it was in South Dakota. They lived in St. Paul, Minnesota. The first summer they got put on a train to South Dakota.
5 and 6 years old?
Yeah, on their own. And my dad, when he talks about it, he lights up. It meant so much to him. It was the time of his life and the independence and today, like we can't even imagine it. But not only is it just an awesome memory, and he went to camp where there was these amazing young people who really helped them have fun and freedom. And to this day, my dad's in his 80s and it still lights him up too. And again, I know we're not suggesting you put your 5-year-old on a train, but our kids are capable of so much more than we give them credit for.
And we see that in these 4-week sessions.
Yeah.
You really see it. I mean, especially when they get the confidence from being here. Like I said, like after that initial hump of getting acclimated, getting comfortable, finding your people, understanding the routine, that confidence just shines. I've seen kids go from quiet, nervous to like singing during Berkshire's Best or Saratoga South talent shows, like with a guitar or dancing on stage. And I'm like, that is not the same kid who walked in here.
No, and it's amazing. I think the saddest thing I ever hear when I talk to parents who are thinking about camp is, my child is ready, but I'm not.
Oh.
And I think we all have to look at that, because if your child is ready to spread their wings, you have to find a way to let them, because the inadvertent message sometimes in all of that is that you're not ready, kid. Like you can't do this, or it's like you're not capable. And that's a lousy message, because it does take away your confidence. And then we're so shocked when they get to college and they can't handle it, or they have to practice. I get it. It's scary. The first time I sent Bridget to camp, even though it was my own camp, I had to fight wanting to get up in the middle of the night and peek in her cabin windows.
Wow.
So I'm not trying to pretend that it's an easy thing, but I do know it's a vital thing.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't realize that you felt that way. That's really funny.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like, again, we want to, everything in us says, keep your kids safe, keep them close. But there's also an instinct to teach our kids to be free of us, to be able to stand on their own feet.
Yeah.
And I think we forget the second part of that. Yes, you're supposed to look out for your kids, but you also need to give them wings to fly. So, and I think the biggest thing that we shouldn't forget to talk about is being off screens.
Oh yeah.
So they just featured an article on NPR about how a week of time away from screens help young adults have huge upticks in their mental health. But what we find is, and we can watch it, I mean, you can look out in that dining hall And as time goes by, and while there's less time on screen and access to just all the kind of toxic messages that come at kids through all the different channels, that the kids just self-esteem and positivity just soar. And you can see it. It's at first everybody's kind of going through a little withdrawal and struggling, but and that's part of it. But I'll tell you, the clarity, the face-to-face, they just look so much happier.
They do.
As time goes on. And I think that's a big part of it.
Oh, it's huge. We're already seeing, like, Australia just banned social media for kids under 16.
Yep.
Already seeing people starting to get ahead of what social media does for kids' brains. And I'm not over here pretending that I don't scroll Instagram constantly. I have like 6 hours of screen time every day. I'm not a good model for this, but camp gets me off my phone.
Yep.
And it feels so nice to just be able to, like, look at someone and talk to someone, and it's so hard to get away sometimes from the phone. But yeah, and I think it goes back to the adjustment period too, because, like, you do need a week to get through the withdrawal symptoms of social media or your phone or Angry Birds or whatever you're doing on your devices. And once they've gone through that, they're different people.
They are. And it's funny, kids dread going back on their phones, being back in that. And I remember a long time ago hearing that parents feel powerless as to how to control screen time with their kids. And that may be changing. And I know it's a new generation of parent that, I think are thoughtful and do all of that stuff. But I'll tell you, it really helps to have a partner in it. And I think the kids really love, just like they're finding in schools, that kids secretly are really supportive of no phone policies because it lets them off. It gives them a break from the pressure of being on that social media stuff. But I think we see the same thing at camp. As much as they do miss it initially, I think they're relieved and, again, sometimes even dread going back to it, which tells you something.
It does, yeah. And I've heard plenty of parents be like, I brought my kid's phone and she didn't want it in the car ride back home. She just had maybe just another couple hours without it.
Isn't that nice? I mean, and I hope we can learn that. I mean, because we've all been subject to that, and we still are. I agree. I'm the same way. I don't look at social media at all, and it does help me, but and I know I should for my work, but I really struggle with it. But again, I think it's at least having a month away from it and feeling the difference, I think, helps kids make different and better decisions, I think, sometimes about what they consume.
Absolutely. I don't think I could ever go back to anything but 4 weeks. 4 weeks minimum. And I'm not knocking any week or 2 week or 3 week long camps. They all have merit. And sometimes your summer's so packed you don't have another option. You have to do a 1 week or a 2 week camp. But being able to make the time and to send your camper to a 4 week summer program or longer is going to be life-changing. Period.
Well, and I also think as a parent, like, to know that your kid is settled in a place where you're not having to stress that you're going to be there to pick them up or that they're going to miss the bus or that, all the stressors of summer programs and having to get your kids, I know we think summer we'll just all hang out, and have a great time all together, but parents have to work. And when I was a kid, I hated the city programs that I would go to. I was a city kid and I lived for camp and being outside and having all that freedom and being able to swim in a lake or hike or and have time with friends in a natural environment. And then, going to programs in the city just were such a pale comparison. And being in a school gymnasium when it's like 90 degrees out and, and just wishing I was at camp. And again, I'm obviously a camp person, but,
that's true.
But I'll just tell you that as a parent, I think knowing your kid's settled and having an enriching, that's the other thing is we've been doing these surveys and their capacity to learn there's a huge bump up from camp. Their desire to to connect with nature. All of that is all an enriching experience. Something like, again, 96% of our participants end up gaining at least one like vital skill from being at camp that we can prove will make a huge difference in their capacity to learn and their ability to cope. So you're not making a mistake in having your kid be away from home. And if somebody says to you, oh, I can't believe you send your kid away from a month, you should be so proud of yourself because you are giving them a gift that will pay for the whole rest of their life. It will set them apart in a really powerful way.
That was a perfect summation. She does a mic drop. She does a mic drop motion. That was a beautiful summation of the 4-week program. And I think a perfect ending note as we end the year.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you have any questions about the 4-week model, or you want to talk to either of us about why we gave you a lot of reasons why we're huge fans of it, but we could talk more and more about it. We want to make sure that you know that our phone lines and email inboxes are always open to you, and you can reach out anytime with us here at Chimney, and we'd love to chat.
Yeah, and if you have friends that you think could benefit from the camp experience, you know,
Send them our way.
We need your help and support and making sure that people know about camp. So
Absolutely.
keep telling the story, and we really appreciate all of you, you know, that support us and are out there. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next year.
See you next year. Bye.
Bye.